Welcome back to another Jaff Reviews for you. And as you saw in this video, we are installing an Apple CarPlay and Android Auto into any type of vehicle. That to me is pretty cool. You know what though? Enough talk, let's get right into this review. My son's been looking for an add-on Apple CarPlay or Android Auto device for a vehicle that may not have that already installed. So we're gonna check out this one today, but get this, the price, $150. Now that to me is super impressive. If we look at what we actually got in this package, we actually have two different mounts. This one right here is a window mount or a dashboard mount if you want to install this adapter. And then there's also another type of mount over here, which you have more of a flat surface where you can mount it for a permanent installation. This one actually comes with an optional rear view camera. It also has a 3.5mm jack if your vehicle does not have a Bluetooth connection already. Therefore, the sound from the Android Auto Apple CarPlay device right here will project your phone calls or music. I will real quick show you the mounts before we get going. Of course, there's a pivot hinge here. And there's also a part here to move the head unit. So this can actually go up or down. Oops, tightened. This can actually go up or down depending on your window. Of course, once you hook this to the window, there is a suction cap thing here that you want to tighten down right there so it tightens it right to the window. Of course, if you had it on the window, you wanted to get off, you just flick that right back. The connector is the same for both this mount as well as the more permanent mount. And we are going to look at that in just a little while. I just want to make sure you knew that the connection was exactly the same. Like I said, you can actually connect this to the window or to this self-adhesive piece right here. Some people actually put this to their dashboard and then you can hook this mount right on your dashboard. That way, it's just another way of connecting it. It gives you a lot of different options. As we are talking about the connections, of course, these four little pieces will actually go up and slide into, and that is how you connect it completely. Since we're looking at the back here, you might have noticed this very large camera. This is actually a movable camera for your front of your vehicle, which actually provides you that dash cam service and full recording in HD. I think that's enough talking about this unit. Let's actually hook it up. For the purpose of this demonstration, I'm just going to be using this base right here. I'm going to tighten it down because I'm going to use it right here on my desk for now, but snap it into place. Let's hear that click. There it is. Now that I'm snapped in, you always make sure you can tighten it down so it does not move. I should have mentioned this before, but your power cord is 12 feet long. And it has an extra USB adapter port right there, but also this is a USB-C connection. If we look right here on the side, we have a reset button up here. I don't know if you can see this on top of that red button is the power button. This is where your 3.5mm audio jack plugs in. It does come with a 64 gigabyte SD card. I just pushed it all the way in. This port right here is actually where you would plug in the other end to your camera for the rear camera. And then of course your power supply. If we look at the other end, we of course see our built-in speaker. We have just plugged it in. Of course, you can see it's a highly reflective surface. You can see our Bills flag hanging there on the wall. That's pretty cool. But here we are booting it up for the very first time. You can see that it booted up really, really fast. We show our date and our time. Plus, there's the full menu option. First thing I want to draw your attention to is how vibrant this screen is. It is very bright. It is in high definition. But did you notice here, DVR, if I click that, it's actually utilizing that front camera to show ahead. You can have this running all the time. And because you have that 64 gigabyte SD card, you could be recording in a loop format and recording everything as you go. What I want to make sure I do now is I want to make sure I connect to my Bluetooth on my phone. If you click on the Android Auto, it's going to tell you to open up your Wi-Fi, open up your Bluetooth, and connect to this exact name. I'm going to do that on my phone so that we are fully connected. The phone just made the noise to pair, so we're going to click pair. And now we should have the Android Auto device completely connected. It took just a matter of minutes for it to connect, but now as you can see, we have a bunch of apps ready to be utilized. It also has some of our apps on our phone that it can use. But look, if we want to look through the actual apps that are installed, there they are. One of my favorites, if you're not the driver, it does have some games on here that is really, really neat. Plus you can customize it any which way you want. That was a quick and easy setup. Now we have complete access from our Android Auto on our phone to this device right here. What I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna show you how you would actually hook up your rear view camera. I'm not gonna do this for me personally because in my son's car, he already has a backup camera, but I'm gonna show you how you would do it if you were to install the backup camera too. I picked up for the demonstration on a pigtail of your reverse light. It's very important it's your reverse light that we're talking about because that's how you're going to activate the camera. On your reverse lights, you're of course going to have two different wires. You're going to have a black wire and a red wire. The red wire is the one that we want to talk about. So you're going to actually end up having to cut the red wire, splice in this new red wire, and hook it all up together. Once you do that, you're going to actually provide the power to the camera. And so it's important that you do it this way because once you put your car in reverse, the power to the camera will kick on. And then of course, it'll turn on your Android Auto device. And as soon as you put it back into drive or neutral or wherever, the camera will shut off. I know that was a quick description, but you want to connect your red wire that comes with your camera to the red wire, but make sure you splice that in together nice and tight. And also, of course, use butt connectors to make sure it's all watertight. As with any electrical installations, if you do not feel comfortable with this, please consult a professional so they can help you along the way. There's one thing with this camera that I really do appreciate is it has a disconnect within 2 feet of the camera. Therefore, if anything ever happens to the camera, you could just replace the camera instead of rerunning all of your wires because boy, would that be frustrating. Before we wrap this up, I want to talk about the two different mounting and my experiences with them. I've utilized both of these types in the past. I've noticed that although this wand one right here does a really good job of fitting into almost every installation, I do notice that the Android Auto device will shake more along with your road vibrations and the car vibrations. This will shake, whereas this more of a permanent base here, it's going to end up keeping the unit solid. Don't get me wrong, they both work really, really well. I just had better success with this one, but not everyone can install this particular setup in their vehicle. The dashboard I'm installing this in happens to be flat and it'll work perfectly. So tell me, what are your thoughts of this Android Auto Apple CarPlay device? Something you consider? Let me know down in the comment section below. I would love to hear from you. Now it's time to show you my installation of this device. I think it's important to show you the setup that I have chosen. Now in some states this may not be allowed where you have the kind of obstruction here on the window here. In my state it is allowed, plus I still have full view because I'm not actually looking that way, but this is how we installed it. Because we had a flat dash mount right here, it was really convenient to utilize the 3M sticky tab that's already attached to it to stick it right down, and it holds solid, and guess what? It doesn't even wobble as we go. My favorite part is that as we are driving, it is actually recording what is going on. That is super important. As I told you before, this car is actually equipped with a rear view camera, so I did not need to hook up the rear view camera to our Android Auto device, but you can, and if you end up doing that, you can take advantage of the DVR and record as the camera is active. In this video, we are looking at an aftermarket Android Auto Apple CarPlay device that you can install into any vehicle. So what do we think of it? First things first, let's talk about that price point. And this happens to be the very best part, $150 for this entire unit. And it comes with a lot of add-ons that you can put into your car. I happen to have the 9-inch version, but there's also a 7 or 10-inch version, and of course they are different prices based on the size that you choose. I appreciate that they included two different installations, either with the arm or the base, because you know what, not everyone can install things the same way. For me, that base was solid and secure, and it happened to work in the vehicle that we were using. I will give you a little tip. If you end up using one of these arms, the shorter you can keep this arm, the better, because therefore it's not going to be as wobbly if it's not extended all the way out. I loved how it seamlessly integrated right with my phone, and although the car that we installed in did not have this central Bluetooth in there, it still worked really, really well. I also tried out in my vehicle, which happens to have all of those Bluetooth things, and it actually connected to both, so I could listen to things through the car speakers or through the device itself. With this thing hooked up to your mobile device, you have access to answering phone calls, seeing who's calling, and even maps if you're driving. All those things are very, very convenient. From time to time, I noticed that I would have to hit the button a couple times for it to register. Sometimes it didn't do it on the first time. It didn't really bother me because that's what typically happens on phones for me, but I did have to hit some things a couple times before it would respond. In my opinion, it's a pretty decent device, especially for the money. If this is something that interests you, I will leave a link down in the description. This is Jeff with Jeff Reviews for You. As always, thanks for stopping by, and I hope you have a great day. We installed this Android Auto screen into my son's car, which also has this push button start cover. Remember when we installed this? It is super cool, and guess what? it still works. I really do appreciate that you stayed around for my entire review, but did you see what we saw there at the end? It's our rotary push button cover, and that thing is so very cool. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna link up my review right up here, and I would love it if you would click on this link. And when you do, by the magic of the internet, I'm gonna join you right here. So go ahead, click it. It's safe, I promise.